What is up, guys? Deus Ex Machina here, DEM Sports, coming to you, bringing my first video since that Utah beatdown on Saturday. I think the game pretty much went about as bad as we all kind of expected it to. I think very few people actually expected us to win. Probably didn't expect us to get beaten that bad, but the main thing that we were all curious about was what the quarterback situation would look like with Markiel not available. A lot of people were very excited about Henderson, myself included. I was really hoping he would come in and be Pat White 2.0. Didn't happen. Not only did he not look good throwing the ball, he didn't even get anything going running the ball. Khalil Wilkins came in the second half. He looked a lot better. But again, I mean, these quarterbacks, I don't know what to make of this whenever Scotty Fox comes in and goes on a 70-yard run against second-string defense, and at that point, it's like, was Utah really playing their hardest whenever they're already up by 3-4 touchdowns? So I don't know if Wilkins is the answer or not. I sure hope so. I hope somebody's the answer. We'll get into this quarterback situation a little bit more in just a minute, but yeah, that was. The main thing about that game is just we got to get a lot better real quick, or we might not win another game all season. So let's go ahead and hop into the news around WVU sports. Of course, the big news is today it came out. Nicco Markiel is expected to medical redshirt, which we all kind of saw coming. And now it is also being reported he's expected to enter the transfer portal. Again, kind of expected that. If he was going to medical redshirt, then it was kind of expected he was probably going to hop into the transfer portal. Honestly, I don't disagree with this decision. If this is the way he's going, best of luck to you, Nicco. Thank you for everything you did for us. I still have the utmost respect for, coming here as a 4-star recruit whenever he could have went a bunch of other places and probably been starting. Sat behind Garrett Green for a couple years, then stuck it out through a coaching change and a complete change of offensive scheme. Gave it his best, just is not fitting in here. He's not, he doesn't work in this offense, not near as well as I had hoped he would. And honestly, I'm kind of good with this. I don't like the multiple quarterback situation we have going anyway. So this is one less quarterback taking reps. Get Henderson in there, get Khalil Wilkins in there, get Scotty Fox, all those guys. Now they can get more reps. They are, I think, are more of the quarterback prototype that we need to run this offense. So, yeah. But I hope that Nicco, I think he's going to have a lot of success if he goes someplace that runs a more traditional style offense. And I honestly hope that he doesn't go to a Big 12 team. I was kind of thinking in my head about how, the Rocco Beck situation, how, we didn't, recruit him, and we probably could have got him if we would have just went after him. And then he ran it down our throats every time they played us, and I could see him transferring to, maybe even Iowa State, because I believe this is Rocco's last year there. So they're going to be looking for a quarterback. If he transfers to Iowa State and then kicks the crap out of WVU for a couple years, that's going to be such a gut punch. But yeah, good luck to Nicco wherever he goes. So the next thing that came out, I guess this was Monday night. You guys probably have heard this. The Rich Rod statement on his radio show. And I'll just read the quote. They were, I guess, talking about the poor performances recently. So I'll read the quote and then we'll break it down a little bit. Rich Rod says, "As much as we're still hopeful that there's a lot of games still out there for us to win and all that, it is a process and we're working as hard as we can. I know what the hell I'm doing, so I take comfort in that, but I also understand the frustration, but there's nobody more frustrated than our players and coaches. You just got to let the process go on. We'll be better in a month than we are today. We'll be better in a year than we are today. We'll be a lot better in 2 years than we are today. And in 5 years, we're going to be playing for a national championship." And a lot of people snickered at that and laughed at that. And think that he's delusional and think that WVU fans are delusional if they believe this. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know that in 5 years we're gonna be playing for a national championship. How much of this do I believe? I definitely believe that there's probably a lot of frustration with the players and coaches. Do I believe they'll be better in a month than they are today? Honestly, it seems like we're getting worse. We're losing players to injuries, and I don't know that we'll be better in a month than we are today. We might be worse in a month than we are today at the rate we're going. In a year, yeah, we'll probably be better in a year than we are today. 2 years, I have said before, I think 2 years is the plan. I think that we are on a 2-year plan right now. 2027, our non-conference schedule is pretty easy. We don't have a Power 4 team. We have 2 Group of 6 teams and an FCS team. So we had a Group of 6 team this year and we lost to them, but we should go 3-0 in our non-conference schedule. And then our conference schedule lines up where a lot of the bigger teams are coming to Morgantown. So I think 2027 could be a big year for the Mountaineers. In 5 years, I haven't looked that far out, so I don't know what the schedule looks like. Do I think we'd be playing for a national championship? I guess it depends on your definition of playing for a national championship. I mean, if you ask Alabama fans or Ohio State fans, they're playing for a national championship week 1 of the season. I mean, everybody's playing for a national championship. Now, is he meaning actually in the national championship game? That's a big ask. Now, if we're saying making the playoffs equals playing for a national championship, I could see that. I think that West Virginia could make the playoffs within the next 5 years. The Big 12 is just so wide open, and we are putting a lot of money towards athletics. This board of governors, or whatever you want to call them, at the university they're actually taking a lot of money from academics and putting it towards athletics. And don't try to tell me that it's 2 different budgets. It's not. I know people in the finance department at the university who are getting upset about the amount of money that is being taken from academics to put towards athletics. But that's their plan is, if we do better in athletics, that'll bring in more students, drive up enrollment and bring in money that way. And I can't say that they're wrong. I actually personally know somebody who came to WVU because of the football team back in 2003, I think it was. They were watching the football team and just loved our style of football, and they were a high school student, looking for what college they were going to, and they ended up going to WVU just because they liked the players on the team. So, yeah, you do good in sports, you're going to get more enrollment. So, anyway, that's that. Let's go ahead and change sports here. WVU soccer, men's soccer, up to number 8. We were number 10 last week, played number 9 to a draw. Moved up to number 8 this week. Saturday, 7 p.m., Dick DeLuss Stadium. We host the number 6 team, Georgia Southern. Tickets are $12, and they're still available. There's no football game because we play Friday night. So get out there and support them. If you want to see a team that will be playing for a national championship, that's your team right there. I could easily see West Virginia playing for and or winning a national championship in soccer soon, very soon. If not this year, next year. We've been good for a while in soccer. Get out there and support them. It's a great time. I've only been to one soccer game at Dick DeLuss, but it was a lot of fun. It's all just like GA, so you just go and find whatever the best seats available are. There's some concession stands, including some stands that sell adult beverages, so go out there, get a beer, and watch a fun soccer game. Now, let's go ahead and change it up. I teased this before, but I said last week that I am more convinced than ever that the Big 12 will get 2 teams into the playoffs, and I'm going to show you exactly how that is going to happen. So I've made this spreadsheet. This is based off of FPI. So FPI it tries to predict future games, and so this is the this is if you just go game for game. FPI does not have Texas Tech losing again. They will go, according to the FPI, 9-0 in the conference, 12-0 overall, because they haven't lost a game yet in the regular season. They have BYU finishing 8-1 in the conference, 11-1 overall. Iowa State 7-2, and TCU 7-2, and also Utah 7-2. So that would make them 10-2, 10-2, and 9-3. Now, Arizona State 6-3, 8-4. Arizona State is kind of a little bit of a wild card here, but let's just say that, well, first of all, one thing that I think really helps this, especially after this last weekend, was Florida State losing to Virginia. And now Florida State's playing Miami, so one of those two teams has to take a loss. So the ACC looks very weak this year. So I think the ACC is only going to end up with one team in. So that opens up another team for somebody else. We don't have to really worry about the group of six. In this week's rankings, there's not even a group of six team ranked in the top 25, which I actually don't agree with. I think there's some group of six teams out there that are, top 25 material. But if you break down who plays who, so Texas Tech, Utah, and Iowa State all play BYU and Arizona State. And that's the only tough games that they really have. Arizona State has to play Utah, Texas Tech, and Iowa State. BYU has to play Utah, Texas Tech, Iowa State. So basically, if BYU, let's say even if BYU beats Iowa State, then you would just flip-flop these. So then Iowa State would be 8-1. Or let's say Iowa State beats BYU. So you'd flip-flop these. So it would be, Iowa State would be 8-1, and then BYU would be 7-2. So then Iowa State's 11-1 overall, and Texas Tech's 12-0. So as long as that happens, as long as we have a 12-0 team versus an 11-1 team, or even if we end up with two 11-1 teams in the Big 12 championship, I think both those teams get in. I don't see how they don't. I think that, honestly, best case scenario would be Texas Tech, rolls in undefeated 12-0, and then an 11-1 team comes in and beats them, so that then they get the automatic bid, and then Texas Tech becomes 11-1 or 12, it would be 12-1, I guess. And basically pull the ACC card from last year whenever Clemson beat SMU in the championship, and then Clemson got the automatic bid and SMU got a wild card. That would be ideal. But if we have a 12-0 team versus an 11-1 team, or even two 11-1 teams come into the championship game, I think both of those teams get in. I don't see how they don't let both of those teams get in. They keep saying that they're not going to punish you for losing your conference championship game, because otherwise there's no incentive to reach the conference championship game. There's actually incentive to not reach the conference championship game. So if they stick to that again this year like they did last year, I think I think it is almost guaranteed that the Big 12 is going to get two teams in. Could we get three teams in if we have two 11-1 teams and a 12-0 team? Maybe. If we have let's say Iowa State beats I don't remember how this all actually played out. I was doing it last night while I was laying in bed half asleep. But let's say Iowa State ends up 11-1, and maybe they beat a Utah or something. So then Utah is 6-3. I think Iowa State was already projected to beat Utah, but let's just say something like that happens, and so that we have 12-0, 11-1, 11-1, and then especially then if one of the 11-1 teams beat the 12-0 team in the conference championship game, we could maybe get three teams in. Is it that far-fetched? This is what the Big 12 needs in order to get multiple teams in. You need to have a top-heavy conference. That is what the SEC and the Big 10 have been about for years. They're top-heavy. You get down to these bottom-feeder teams in the Big 10 and the SEC, and they're bad. I mean, I would put, maybe not this year. I don't necessarily think I'd put, WVU or Oklahoma State up against the two worst teams in the Big 10 or the SEC. I don't know, though. UCLA is pretty bad. Stanford's really bad, too, with their ACC. But yeah, I mean, you get down into the bottom feeders of those big time conferences, and they're bad. So you know, this is what we need. We need top heaviness. So if we can get 2 or 3 teams with double-digit wins, you know, that's what we really need to get going. Also, can we just talk about Arizona State loses essentially on the last play? I think there's like 30 seconds left on the road to Mississippi State. And they go from like number 11 to unranked because, oh, Arizona State, they must not be very good. They couldn't even beat Mississippi State. And now they are just clawing. They're like number 25 in one poll, and I don't even know if they're ranked in the other, or maybe they're 25 in both polls. And, you know, the narrative, you know, is, oh, Arizona State must not be that good. Tennessee goes into Mississippi State, gets taken to overtime, and now what's the narrative? Oh, Mississippi State's so good. Look at how good they are. Screw you, ESPN. Stop. It's not even, you're not even trying to hide it anymore. You're not even trying to hide your bias to the SEC at this point. Anyway, in rant there. But anyway, that is my projection for how the Big 12 is going to get 2 teams into the playoffs. We'll actually know a lot more later this weekend, after this weekend's slate of games, because there is a few of these teams play each other. For example, Texas Tech plays Houston, which could be big. No, I guess it's okay. I see. It's next weekend. It's Utah's next game is against Arizona State, but it's not. It's next weekend. So yeah, in the next like 2 weeks, a lot of this will sort itself out, and we'll have a much better idea of where we're at. But yeah, that's my video for this week. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you agree, disagree with anything I said. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Let's go, Mountaineers. I'll see you guys later.